Hello and welcome back to In the Spotlight, where today we've got a very special episode. Myself, Junior Parado, and Matt Jessup are joined by our first ever guest on the show, CEO and founder of Striver, Tim Chase. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. I've been watching your podcasts. It's caused a lot of arguments around the table with your questions, which I think is fantastic. I'm honoured to be your first guest, so thank you very much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on, but I mean, we're filming in your house. So
Exactly. And they're all my shirts as well.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, Matt, my wonderful co-host. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, very good. It's a great one to do and I'm very looking forward to it, as always.
Should be good. Right, so we're going to crack on with our usual format, but it's going to be a bit more of a chilled out, relaxed one because we've got a guest on, so we want to make it a bit more relaxed, a bit more natural. So we're going to go into Monday, but Monday's going to be a bit of a wild card where we've got three London-based fans here, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, bit of a heated rivalry. And what we're going to do is just going to kick it off by going through three memories each, our favourite memories from our football club. So Tim, as a Chelsea fan and as the guest, will kick off with you.
Thank you very much. So my first memories are the kind of Gianluca Vialli and the Ruud Gullit days and the Glenn Hoddle days. Those are my kind of first memories. But if you think of my first memory of Chelsea, is probably the Di Matteo goal in 45 seconds in the FA Cup final, which I actually missed because I was getting told off by my parents. So it was 97, so I'd have been 16, and I imagine they caught me smoking or something like that. Don't smoke. So that's my first memory. Yeah, and obviously it wasn't the days where you could go and rewind it. I came back and I came in and they were 1-0 up after like 2 minutes. I'm like, oh, come on, double punish.
Like mixed emotions of like excited, but also frustrated that they've just missed out.
That's what it was. We were at a friend's barbecue down the road and they didn't want to watch the football. So I left them and said, I'm going to go and watch the final. I came up with a 2-0 down, so I was fuming with my parents because they wouldn't let me leave the barbecue early. But yeah, that's my first memory. Obviously there's stronger memories like winning the Champions League and winning the league and all that sort of stuff. But that's my first sort of memory that I remember where I really felt passionate about it. I sort of been about 16, I think. So I remember earlier days, but Chelsea didn't win much apart from the odd FA Cup before then. So
that kind of era of Chelsea were fantastic, like with the Zolas and Dennis Wise and stuff as well. That sort of time for Chelsea was kind of before they had their money. But I know for a lot of older Chelsea fans, they love that period as well.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because obviously with all the success, I actually became less of a fan sort of 2 years into Mourinho being our manager for the first time, because obviously we were kind of doing what City are doing now, just buying all the best players. And in fact, we were just basically buying all the best players and then just putting them out on loan. So it was kind of ruining football. And I think I kind of fell not out of love of it, but I certainly became a little bit less passionate because it didn't feel like football anymore. And I think the England team at that point was not doing great, and everyone was talking about being overpaid. And I think we just lost a little bit of love of football. I think maybe the world did at that sort of era because it became so much more about money. The player salaries went through the roof. Yeah. And I think just people became a little bit passionate. I'm very passionate about it again now. Yeah. But I think that sort of 4-year window, obviously was well happy that we're winning trophies, but I don't feel I loved the club as much as I did when it was Frank Leboeuf and Gianfranco Zola and Vialli and Gullit, where it felt more like a club. Yeah, we were never. I think we came second or third occasionally, and we were always top half. But the FA Cup was, as a Chelsea fan, what you always look forward to because you feel like you got half a chance of pulling it out of the bag.
Yeah, nice. Well, I mean, Arsenal have numerous FA Cup memories.
A lot against Chelsea as well.
So what's your first one as, not necessarily your first memory, but just one of your favourite memories as an Arsenal fan?
First memory is a difficult one because I only got into football quite late. Mm-hmm. So first memories, I'll go more on the actual specific games. One, as you mentioned, Chelsea. I mean, obviously kicking off with Chelsea fan is going to be a bit
in his house. In his house.
Yeah, it's great.
it's going to be a bit damning for.
Mate, we're all friends here. This is a safe space.
But yeah, so my one of my favourite memories is under Arteta actually. During COVID, Arsenal versus Chelsea, Arsenal winning the game 2-1 after going 1-0 down in the FA Cup. And it was just like the general feeling about it. Obviously, COVID was a very strange time. But it was the general feeling about Arsenal, struggling in the league. Things weren't quite moving as you'd expect them to or hope to. But you had that cup run where Arsenal beat City in the semi-final. No one expected that. I think there were a few other difficult teams even in the lead up to that. I think Sheffield United away was one. I think Ceballos' goal in added time, in extra time, was the winner in that one. And then for Arsenal to go 1-0 down, Aubameyang, who was so prominent that season and so prominent in the cup, to be as big and score the goals he did was brilliant. It was a great memory.
Yeah, well, actually, so just thinking about memories and the FA Cup. So my actual probably first memory of football, and understanding that it's a bigger game rather than just kicking in the park with your mates, is an FA Cup, because in my day the FA Cup was massive.
Huge,
you used to you'd be sitting in front of the TV from about 10 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be loads of build up to it, and then there'll be the fans walking up Wembley Way, and you'd see the bus. The camera would follow the buses of the players to the ground. And my first one was Liverpool-Wimbledon.
Oh wow!
That was my first. Yeah, exactly. Where I think Vinnie Jones took out Steve McManaman, not Steve McMahon, sorry, Steve McMahon, because Steve McMahon was the midfield general, and he talked about putting this big tackle in on him, and obviously it was Laurie Sanchez scored a header, didn't he? And then just never came back. Was there a penalty that Dave Besant saved?
I think was it that game? I think it was
so.
that game.
I think it was, because I think it was it either John Aldridge or Ian Rush?
If there was, we'll play the clip. We'll play the clip now. So if there wasn't, then we're just gonna be sat here thinking, oh, maybe not. But
yeah, so that's my first bet. I can't remember. It must have been the 80s. Must have been early 80s or early 90s. But yeah, that's my first memory about getting so excited about the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And it's so disappointing now that it is, unfortunately, where it is now. Because it is it's the oldest club trophy in the world.
Yeah.
So it should be given a bit more respect, I feel. But I guess the money involved in the Champions League, are you ever going to compete with that?
I think it's, unfortunately it is. The bottom line does become money for everything, which is such a shame, because I think we even spoke about this, Matt, a few episodes ago about the FA Cup and them scrapping replays, which I do understand from a logistical point of view, because teams just play too many fixtures these days and players don't have breaks, but you sort of lose that magic of the cup where you get a good tie and you take them back to your place like a big team, or you get to go to like an Old Trafford or an Anfield or something as like a non-league team, and we're kind of losing that now, and you almost see in the cup competitions, from the quarterfinal stages onwards, it's predominantly Premier League teams now, which is
it's sad.
Such a shame, really.
It's sad. Well, and if we scrap replays, we're going to miss the replay that obviously get my own back on you. It was Man United against Arsenal, where Giggs scored that wonder goal, and one unbelievable penalty save in that as well. I think Seaman made a save as well. So you'll miss moments like that, and that's what my belief is life is about moments. It's impossible to be the best dad all the time, the best business person all the time, the best boss all the time, the best podcast or whatever. It's impossible. It's about moments. And those moments are, in football, genuinely change lives, and that's what I do for a living.
They stay with you, those moments. And for me as a Tottenham fan, one of my sort of highlighted three is, as you say, it's one of those moments where it's the 2019 semi-final against Ajax, where we're 1-0 down after the first leg, 2-0 down at half-time in the second leg, so we're 3-0 down on aggregate. And I think they were playing Don't Worry About a Thing over on the speaker in the stadium, and all the fans were singing, and there were close-ups of like Edwin van der Sar and all the Dutch sort of people involved. Yeah, basically like, let's like book our flights now.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like it was fair enough, because we looked awful for 135 minutes, but you just never know in football. And Lucas Moura popping up with a couple of goals, and then that I remember I was actually working at the time until 9:30, so I only saw the second half, although I did have it on my phone. And I just remember at half time feeling so depleted and so heartbroken, and then I just had this feeling of like, why not? Like, why not believe? And then as soon as we finished, ran up and saw my mate. He was at the pub and it was packed, and we scored a couple, and you just get that feeling. And then I think there's a moment where Vertonghen hits the bar to make it 3-3, and you think, oh, that's the chance. And then in like the last kicks of the game, Lucas Moura scores a goal. And that moment, you speak about moments, that moment for me is maybe the best emotional moment I've felt as a football fan, because it is just pure elation, pure hope, pure joy. And you get to spend that with, like, I was lucky that I got to have that moment with my friends as well, and you're hugging everyone, and at that moment for me, obviously I know that the final was a massive disappointment and we didn't go on to win it, but for me that moment, that will live with me forever, and that's kind of what you talk about, those moments.
Yeah, exactly. So because the night before was Liverpool-Barcelona,
which was exactly the same, incredible semi-final.
So Eleanor was pregnant, like heavily pregnant, like imminently about to give birth, and so she used to go to bed at like 7 o'clock in the evening. And the Liverpool game came on, and I was going, what? Because if that was a movie, you would go, never
Unreal.
believe it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
would never
Fairy
happen like
tale.
that. And that's the beauty of sports.
Absolutely.
Because it is real life.
Yeah.
And so it was happening like this, and I went, oh my God, this is unbelievable. They're going to do it. We came back, and then there was Trent Alexander-Arnold's cheeky little pen, cheeky
quick
corner. And I was like, what? And she came down and went, what's going on? I was like, you're not going to believe what's happening. And she went, oh, okay, fine. And she went back up to bed. And then the next night, the same thing happened with Spurs. And I shut up and said, Ellen, you've got to come and watch this. This is unbelievable
Honestly.
sport. I've got goosebumps thinking about it now. And I remember her sitting on one of those, those sit-up balls, those big. I think she was sitting on it, doing this, bouncing up and down. Because she was so pregnant. She was bouncing up and down on it like this, watching the football going. But then you scored the other goal, and she went, "Oh my God! Like steady, don't not. There might be some penalties. Don't go into labour right now."
It just those moments, as you say, like those moments are priceless. And I think with money sort of taking over multiple sports, you can't buy those moments. And those moments are like those are for the fans. And when you speak to fans, it's about winning trophies and stuff. But those moments are what. Like for me, like that is one of my favorite moments just in general in life. But like footballing and emotionally, that is one of the highest moments I've felt. It's incredible.
For me, it would be the Beckham free kick against Greece. That would probably be one of the highlights.
Yeah,
I've got a scar on the top of my head here because I was watching it in an old pub which had low ceiling. When he scored, I jumped up and cracked my head. So I've got a lasting memory on my eyebrow, where I cracked my head on it. And I think I took out my friend's wife as well. And then I divorced her, but I don't think that was my responsibility. But yeah, it's just those moments of just pure elation.
Absolutely.
And it just erupts out of you. And I think as blokes certainly, or people, there was so much pressure and stress. It's like a release where it all just rushes out of you. It's like the tap's turned off.
Just raw.
And it all just comes out of
emotion.
you. And you kind of go, I kind of needed that. I guess it's like some people prefer crying, for example, and they cry and it's the release of it. That's what football's all about, or sports is about. You use that elation and you go, I feel all right now.
Yeah. And you like 45 minutes prior to that, I was in the lowest point and I was like, well, we've wasted this opportunity, but like all this sort of stuff. And then you just never know with football, and that's why it's magic at those points where you think, it's kind of predictable, it's kind of whatever. The unknown happens. City win one game in 12. I mean, just stuff like that is football. That's why we love the sport.
Exactly.
But, a second memory with Chelsea?
It'll probably, what would it be for Chelsea? It'll probably be when we won the Champions League for the first time.
Yeah.
First time, sorry,
Funnily enough, that one where they beat Munich, completely by chance, I was in Chelsea. I was visiting a friend. We were in London for the day. And then we ended up going to his friend's house, and then we're like, the Champions League final's on, let's watch it. And then we just happened to be in Chelsea, and when full time went, they had the conservatory door open, and you just heard a roar like in this, and that was incredible because I thought, wow, that's amazing. But what a moment that was, especially that Munich team was unstoppable. So to beat them, it was in Munich.
Yeah, it was in Munich as well. Yeah, so that, and we shouldn't have won it. We were terrible. It's just Didier Drogba came back and obviously did that for us. Did what he did. He was a machine for us. But yeah, it's But yeah, I think it's just football, man. Yes, it's lovely. In fact, probably because Chelsea, when I was growing up watching all the football when I was younger, and we're watching football all the time, Chelsea weren't that great then, if we're honest. And a lot of my memories are actually Man United winning the Champions League at the last minute.
Yep.
That's probably a massive memory of mine. Not that I'm a massive Man United fan, but it's those memories that you go, what the hell's happening? Again, if that was a movie, again, Man United against Bayern Munich, you would go, this is not true. Come on, it's too far-fetched. It would never happen. Like Tin Cup, the movie Tin Cup, when he hits 10 shots to hit the green. No golfer would ever do that.
No, but it happens. It will happen. And yourself, Matt, another Arsenal memory?
Yeah, I mean...
It was when you won the Champions League.
So
there's no need to do that.
We haven't won that one just
yet,
I'm sorry.
Don't
worry. Unless we're talking for the future.
No, there you go. How far in the future, though? I can't save this podcast forever.
Why not?
Mate, it's my dig back at you after the FA Cup.
You know what? I was actually thinking I'll spare a second Chelsea FA Cup moment to bring variety, but maybe not. No,
go for it.
I mean, the second one is the FA Cup final against Hull City. I mean, the nature of football, the fact that was the FA Cup final, the fact that the FA Cup brings teams, like everyone always talks about the magic of the FA Cup. If you actually think about some of the teams who get to the final and get far, you had Watford, obviously they got pelted
Battered,
against
yeah.
City in the final, which is
Wigan
unfortunate.
winning it against City in like 2012, was it? Incredible.
It was one of their defenders, I don't remember exactly, or was that Ben Watson?
Ben Watson scored, because they got relegated that year as well, but won the FA Cup.
Is it Cheltenham that normally they had a run of doing quite well for a couple of years?
They had a couple of cups, like in the League Cup, Bradford went on a run.
Oh, Bradford were crazy, I remember that, yeah.
But even that game, you go into that final, you're thinking Arsenal will be Hull, it should be a whitewash, but you just don't know in those occasions. And they were 2-0 up, weren't they, Hull?
Yep, and to come back to my favourite ever player, Santi Cazorla, scoring an unbelievable free kick. Aaron Ramsey incredibly clutch in the game too. And it's just, I think when you're worse in football is when you appreciate other teams, but you obviously just cannot beat your own team's moments. And obviously, at the end of the day, the pinnacle of football is trophies, which isn't the funnest thing to talk about too much at the minute. But
you still have memories with like the lower clubs and the clubs that aren't doing great. You're still going to have memories about, let's say Southampton may not remember this season fondly, but they may score a wonder goal, and you go, oh wow. So it's those little moments that doesn't actually mean to be trophy. And it could well be you have a moment when you're travelling to an away game. I know you travel away with Arsenal quite a bit. You actually have a really funny moment with your mates on the coach.
Absolutely.
And that's a memory.
So
it's not just the game of football that happens, it's all the stuff around it, talking about it in the pub. Having podcasts like this about memories, this is a great moment for us, for me.
For me, I think...
Yeah, sorry. What about you? What about you, Gina? For Spurs. What's your second best memory for Spurs?
Another one with Spurs is... hey, look...
I feel like I brought a bit of aggression. I feel like that was a bad moment.
I was coming in here, with...
I didn't want to leave any competition out. You said Champions League, you said FA Cup.
So I think another one of my memories, to be fair, I brought the shirt with me today, was the 2010-11, sort of just the season as a whole under Redknapp when we were in the Champions League. And I think we'd returned to the Champions League after such a long time, and I think I sort of took that team for granted then, but you look at it now and like even just the midfield, you go from left to right, Bale, Modric, Van der Vaart, Lennon is just absolutely ridiculous. And then Peter Crouch up top just doing what Peter Crouch does. But that team for me was like that period with that team under Redknapp, he just knew how to galvanise the team. And watching Bale, watching Modric, watching Van der Vaart, like three of my favourite players in a Tottenham shirt ever. And we had a really good run in the Champions League. That's when sort of Bale announced himself with the two Inter Milan games.
Well, he was playing left back at Southampton, wasn't he?
Left back.
And Harry Redknapp put him left midfield. And he suddenly
Spurs, he started
changed his
left back
career
as well, and then moved up to left mid, and then I remember watching that Inter Milan game away, and it was
Maicon he just destroyed.
Just
absolutely destroyed.
But that one was right. I remember watching it. I was sat in the living room, and I don't know how old I was at the time, maybe like 12 or 13, and I was close to tears. I think at half time we were 4-0 down with the man sent off, and I was like all close to tears, like, where's this Champions League? All this for nothing. And then Bale scores the second half hat trick. Again, we don't win the game. It's not for the points, it's not for anything. But I remember that game because he announced himself, and then in the return tie, we won 3-1. Again, he just ripped Maicon, who was probably the best right back in the world.
Absolutely.
Ripped him apart. And that team for me was just phenomenal. We went on, we beat AC Milan, and then we got knocked out by Real Madrid. But that season for me, that team, the manager was there. Like that's probably one of my favourite Tottenham teams from recent memory.
I'm going to ask a question, if that's all right, if it's allowed to by guests.
Of course.
So
on this occasion.
Thank you very much. So you obviously put your shirt, and we've got loads of shirts here. What's your favourite Spurs shirt ever, and what's your favourite non-Spurs shirt?
Wow.
And you for Arsenal, what's your favourite Arsenal one? And I'll say mine for Chelsea.
I think one of my favourite Tottenham shirts, because obviously, it's always white with the home, which there's only so much you can do with it. One of my favourite sort of alternative kits with Tottenham was in sort of my third memory with Tottenham, which was our last season at White Hart Lane, where we went unbeaten. The third kit was like a gold number, but with like pinstripes. And I don't know if it's the shirt or the memories with the shirt as well, but that shirt for me was one of my favourite shirts, just like a nice alternative one. And I remember a game in particular where we played Swansea away, and I think we scored 3 goals in like the last couple of minutes to win. And it just like seeing the like the limbs under the floodlights at night in those gold shirts. I was like, oh yeah, that's sticking with me, that one.
Nice.
How about you, Matt? I have to say Arsenal have had quite a lot of nice away shirts.
Certainly recently as well.
Yeah, in recent years they have done quite a lot.
Yeah, literally talking of recently, I think this is one of my favourite ones easily.
Just looking snug. You've also been going to the gym, mate.
Not sure I've spoken about that.
Yeah, black and gold's a nice. It's a nice.
Yeah,
good touch on it.
You cannot beat a black kit. I think I love a pink kit as well. So our kit, which I never actually got from the same season, was sensational. I think going a bit more old school, honestly, the one behind is right up there.
Yeah.
And the blue version of that as well, the darker blue. And then I can't remember what season it is, but it's like the lightning bolt, darker blue and blue.
Oh, okay.
Sensational.
What do you think of your away kit last year? That bright, luminous yellow one.
Awful.
I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that.
That for me was the worst kit in Premier League history because I think we've seen a lot true. We've seen a lot of erratic and crazy, and like I think United had like this sort of zebra type pattern. But for me, that one was. It's a horrible colour, and then the lines are just not even in any sort of. They're just random. I just thought it was just the worst kit.
Very divisive kit.
Yeah, and I thought this kit cannot win the Premier League. It is not allowed. Tim, favourite Chelsea.
So I've got two. One is the first. Is obviously the auto glass one, which is iconic.
They're
right?
Yeah. The old school Chelsea ones are really nice.
Yeah, but my favourite one recently, I actually went to Stamford Bridge. My son's watching it, so I've got a lot of memories with this shirt. Maybe that's why I like it so much. So it was the first time I took my son to Stamford Bridge, and we got the black. White third kit from about 3 or 4 years ago. And so I think it was our first year with Nike, and it's black and it was really retro and it's had some nice trim and it was really old fashioned.
Did it have like orange?
Yeah, exactly that. It was and it just looked absolutely spectacular. And I was like, we're gonna go to the club shop, mate. Gonna get it. And he got changed in the change room together because he wanted to wear it. And he was back in the kit. It was back in the days. Probably I had it. I imagine you guys did when you were like from 6 till 8, so we wear nothing but football kits.
All the time.
Socks, short shirt, nothing but football kits.
We
went on holiday
every Christmas.
He went on holiday. We went on holiday for a week, and he basically, I said, "Do you want to go and pack some stuff you want to take?" He goes, "I'll pack my clothes." We're like, okay. Came back with a carrier bag, 2 pairs of pants, the Messi kit, and his Chelsea kit, and that's it. For who's going to wear for a week.
Hey, look, as long as they're happy, let them
exactly. So yes, for me, it was the auto glass or the black. Or the black third kit.
It's funny though. You talk about as soon as you mentioned the kit, you spoke about the memories of the kit, and again, it's almost. It's the memories that those kits trigger. It's the same with like when you hear certain songs, they trigger certain memories. So I think a lot with humans, not just in sport, but in a lot of stuff, it's memory based, and there's a lot of like emotional ties that you have to the items.
Well, I think that's why shirts are so good. Obviously, we've got a friend of ours does retro shirts. And he's basically his whole factory or office is full of shirts, and he sells them online. And he does these videos where he pulls them out, and you pull like, "Oh, that's a really nice shirt." And he pulls out a shirt, say the Liverpool candy one. And you're like, "Oh, I remember those days," and it triggers such memories. And it's because it is. You fall in love with your team, and your shirt is the identity, or your kit is the identity for it, and you attach so much to that. And even when your team plays against another team, and you go, "Oh, I got a really good kit."
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wear it, but it's a really good kit.
Really random one as well with that black Chelsea kit. Is that the one they beat Wolves 4-0 in that season?
Is that where Tomori scored that?
Yeah, Tomori belted,
35-yard.
Yeah,
goal.
Abraham got a brace.
Yeah.
Good. But they still now. I think a lot of clubs, certainly for Chelsea, the third kit is the best kit out of all of them. The away kit is normally horrible, and then the third kit you go, "Whoa, wow, I'm having that."
So I really like the last 2 years of the Chelsea kits. They haven't had a main sponsor, and I've really liked that.
Yeah.
It's been really refreshing to see a team without a sponsor.
I think it's more from their commercial side of things rather than technical.
But I do like the aesthetic of it. In terms of non-Tottenham kits, I mean, like people would have seen in the podcast, I have shirts behind me in the background. I'm a sucker for a PSG shirt. No. They bring out a lot of nice shirts. Probably one of my favourite ones is I think it's 99, the away grey, like baggy Nike shirt. That's like when they had like Ronaldinho there. That's like probably one of my favourite shirts of all time. Like non-Tottenham ones. That's a beaut.
How about you?
To give a bit of a different answer, but talking very recent, Argentina's in the World Cup in 2022. I loved it. The purple number.
Really nice.
Super,
simple, but just really done well.
Yeah, really. And then more retro side of things. Milan kits are always
I was
unbelievable.
just about to say
The
any Inter Milan
Italians-
or
the Italians in like the 80s and 90s.
80 Milan, either home or away from
Yeah.
the
White-
60s.
White away Milan.
Oh,
yeah.
sensational.
In fact, Gilberto, when I was doing the podcast with Gilberto Silva, who's fortunately a mate, a business partner, I said, we were doing a podcast, I said, look, if you could bring any bits of memorabilia with you, that'd be fantastic. If you could find the World Cup medal, he goes, I'll have to find it, I don't know where it is. I'm like, how can you lose the World Cup winners medal? And I said, if you've got any shirts, it'd be great for the podcast. And he bought back every medal he won, which was about 16,
Great.
all the shirts of the game worn shirts. And he had Kaka.
Oh,
And
wow.
Matt Kaka, I can't remember what year it was, but Kaka AC Milan shirt, and he's folded it. He basically hadn't washed it, and folded it all up, so all the numbers were almost
like
peeling
stuck
off.
together.
I was like,
Oh,
"What are you
no.
doing,
Oh,
Gilberto?"
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so that's the. So I was going to say, so my. To confirm what Matt says, any Inter Milan or AC Milan shirt, home or away, for the last 40 years, are just fantastic.
They deliver every
They had one
time.
which had a snake on, didn't they?
I was
That
about
Inter.
to mention that. That was a beautiful one.
Yeah.
I think that's a more recent one. And then I
It
think
is.
a variation of that, maybe like 15, 20 years ago, was they had a dragon.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
a white one where they had a dragon down the side, and that was exquisite.
Did they have one like David in the Hand of God pointing?
They might have done.
I feel like they
might
did
have
something
done,
like
yeah.
that. But the kit I really like it currently is the grey Real Madrid shirt, the away Real Madrid.
Yes, that is nice.
It's like, I love it because Arsenal are doing it at the moment. It's a really basic retro logos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got the old Adidas.
Yeah.
Was it not tricolor?
It's like
the three.
the three sort of like bits with the Adidas
Yeah,
logo,
and an old school logo, and it's just so clean and plain.
Well, even there, orange. Or what is it? The away or the third? Is
Third,
orange?
I think I don't know.
It's the third. Well, one of those. The oranges. Like orange is quite, I think, a hard colour to nail for a kit. But
Yeah.
theirs just looks. It looks nice. It looks
Clean.
smart,
The Real Madrid shirts always look nice,
Yeah,
and
they
they're all
always
in
nail
white.
them.